everyone, I'm Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com, and for today's topic I wanted to talk about Ben Fulford and the approaching final showdown that he has discussed in some recent articles that he's released. So the question that was sent to me was actually based upon some things that he published. I'll go into it a little more here. The question says, I've read a lot about how the white hats are on the offensive now and how this development leads to hopeful, more positive future for people. What can you get on this? It does seem that the PTW, powers that were that I talk about all the time, are finally being defeated slowly but steadily. His latest update is very interesting, and according to this update, the final showdown with Elders of Zion looms. That was an article, and I put a link in my blog post. It seems that this battle between the light and the dark is approaching a climax. How will it end? I'm with Edgar Casey. The forces of light on earth shall overcome the forces of darkness. Complete spiritual enlightenment on earth will occur. And that was something that Casey came up with during one of his meditations or moments when he was doing his spiritual type work. In his trances. So they go on to say, what do you think, Lynn? Thanks. So, very powerful question, a lot going on here. And when I first focus on this topic, I focus on this question, I heard the phrase, the situation's been working on borrowed time, meaning I understand that the market should have dropped way before now. All of their agendas should have been exposed, creating a collapse of the dark side a few years ago. So again, they're working on borrowed time here. Key players with lots of money have a huge amount of control and have manipulated situations to keep the market afloat and provide a cover for the agenda and plots that they were working through. So it's like you have these people in power out there manipulating things, manipulating the market, just trying to buy time till they can re-strategize what it is they want to do. And I get that the PTW knew that they could not hold that position indefinitely, but they needed to borrow time to hopefully something would emerge. They would have a great idea. Maybe the archons would come back and be a little more helpful. Who knows what? But they were hopeful something would play itself out to where they could recapture their control. They thought if they could stretch it out a few more years that something would happen in their favor, but it's not. So they first thought that they could give an opportunity to themselves to be able to invest and make money in the market. And they had the ability to manipulate the market by buying low, selling high, which I recently talked about this in some Patreon stuff that I recently did. And then they would again buy low, sell high, just keep going through this repetitive cycle, trying to retain and create more wealth for themselves, because at this point, what else do they really have? And after several repetitions of this cycle, they turned their original investments into a much higher return. So they're making money in the process of all this manipulating. They became in a position to accumulate gold and silver while prices are devalued also, because they realize money is not going to last forever, and we're basically merging toward a more electronic type currency, which I've also talked about. But the true wealth is where you have tangible gold and silver, because that's going to be what backs the electronic system that they are working on creating. And through market manipulation, they can buy tangible silver and gold, stock it away, and save it. The true value or worth is going to be what's in your hand and not a piece of paper. So they put all these silver certificates saying, you know, buy silver, we'll hold it in our vault. Here's this IOU, the certificate saying that if you want it. But in all honesty, you go to do a run on the silver certificates, and it'll be just like, you know, when the stock market crashed in the 20s. There's not enough out there to substantiate the certificates, but they can do it to manipulate the supply and demand, making it look like the market's more flooded than what it is. But in reality, they are gobbling up the tangible assets and then issuing this other stuff to play games with the true value. And so lastly, the PTW, they had a plan in place, and the plan was completely derailed after the last election. We all know how that panned out, and basically who they chose to win or wanted to win didn't. And that set them back so much because the U.S. is one of the most powerful countries, and they wanted to get it destabilized. They wanted to get a socialist type of government to be enforced, because that is a weaker form. They wanted to be able to control what was not being controlled. And so when the election didn't pan out the way they wanted, and I kind of shy away from saying certain people's names out there because I don't want this YouTube video already flagged for other stuff, they thought that they could manipulate enough things to get Trump out of the office and change and regroup and rebuild. So there's just a lot going on with all of that. And so the real issue is that Trumpet, hopefully I can say that, created a lot of problems with the PTW, and the PTW could not have predicted that this was even going to happen, because they were so sure that their plant would have been put in office. So once he begins his second term, which, yes, you did hear me correctly, the PTW aren't going to be able to sustain, and that's really where this article becomes full circle, because the White Hats will be able to really take this down, because, you know, the PTW thought, yeah, we'll sustain, we'll try to survive, maybe we'll get an impeachment, maybe we'll do all these other shenanigans, get him out of office so we can regroup and regain control. But ultimately, they know that another 4 years will be next to impossible for them to manipulate it that long. They could do it for a short term, not a long term. And so that's where they're at, and that's where I see that this article is actually prophesizing what's really going to happen, because in his second term, they're not going to be able to handle it. They're barely hanging on now. 2020 looks to be a big year, economically, politically, socially. So many different things are going on right now. So hang tight. The White Hats are working hard. And that's really all I have for this reading. So I look forward to your comments, your thoughts. Feel free to leave a comment, like me, share me, all those great things. For all you patrons out there, thank you so much for all your support. I really could not do this without you guys. So I'm giving you a little shout out too. I like to do that. And again, I'm Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com. Thanks. Bye.